Women, if you do invest in real estate, let me tell you this, not because you may not trust someone at some point, but because you take care of yourself. In Germany, 1 in 2 couples divorce. So, on the topic of women, I find it particularly important for women in general, but especially for migrant women who are far more vulnerable to become homeowners. And I mean here not necessarily to live in their own home, which they own, but to actually invest in real estate, that they buy real estate and rent it and have it as a safety measure for retirement and sometime later in life. There can be so many reasons, and I cannot stress enough on the importance for women's financial independence, and especially through real estate, because throughout millennia, real estate has always been safe and also a sure way to have financial stability, financial security, but also it is brick and mortar that also gives you protection and a home. So, women, if you do invest in real estate, let me tell you this, it's a security for the future. It's not just a way to be smart about your finances. Let's say you are happily married. And I'm not saying that you never know, but breakups do happen. My accountant told me that in Germany, 1 in 2 couples divorce. And since he is married and I am married, he told me it could also be one of us divorcing. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be, but statistically 1 in 2. And in case of divorce, if you're asking yourself this question right now, if something happens between me and my partner, what happens? Where do I go? Where does he go? Would you keep the current home where you stay, or wouldn't you rather be in your own home where you feel safe because it's your own? Would you actually afford to go somewhere that you have already invested in? Do you have such a thing? Do you have such a place? Because it's not someone else who should take care of you. It's not your parents who should buy you real estate, when you're younger. No, already in our 20s and 30s, we need to think about this already and take the matter into our own hands. Again, I've seen this also in some groups, in some social media and chat groups, from young mothers who suddenly found themselves in the situation of domestic violence, either after they became mothers. This can happen, or simply after marriage, that the partner changed right away. Even with 2 former clients, this unfortunately happened. And it makes you really think and puts things into perspectives. What happens in that situation? Where do you go? What protection do you have? So you need to take care of yourself, not because you may not trust someone at some point, but because you take care of yourself. You buy yourself nice creams, you buy yourself vacations, you buy yourself that matcha and coffee, or you go out, or you get yourself some nice clothing, but really invest in your financial security. It's so important. And let's put it differently. You're not in a relationship, maybe you do not intend to. But what if you have a job or you have a career where your mental fitness is important, where your physical readiness is important, where it's actually required a little bit to move or to simply be available, just available, even working remotely, but still be available? What happens then if you cannot work anymore? And I'm not even talking about an accident. I'm just saying you have a child, and that child needs you more, a lot more than the father. And your time is provided to the child and the family. And you do not have an income of your own anymore. Now, what happens then? There's a career break. Maybe you do get back to your former job, or you get a new job, or you become self-employed, but it's quite of a struggle after that. You're not the same person anymore. And that is a fact. And it's important, again, that you secure yourself real estate as an investment that brings you also some income. And let me give you one or two secrets. If you invest in real estate and you buy it solely on your name, depending on your relationship with your partner, obviously, but if your partner also owns real estate, this is actually a good tax break, where after 10 years of owning the property, you two can cross-sell and make some significant gains. And that is big. That is big. And not to mention that you do get significant tax breaks and tax returns on your property. And again, I cannot stress enough how valuable, how good it is to own real estate. It's a long-term game. It's not something that will bring money very quickly as other means, but it's stable and safe. And in my case, yes, I am aware I am biased here, but especially in Germany, it's a good place to buy, to own real estate, because home ownership is also very well regulated. There are very good tax breaks and rules for this, and you do get to win in a long-term game.